Welcome to Fatherhood for the Rest of Us with Brandon Handley. Because you're already great at everything else, why not fatherhood too?
Hey there, welcome to Fatherhood for the Rest of Us. This is Brandon Handley, the host, the creator, the voice of a generation of fathers who are really putting in their best efforts to be the best father that they feel like they can be, and daily keeping up with that. Today, I am pleased to share with you this interview that I did with DavidMooring, who is the host of Quit Pinching Pennies, a faith-based podcast who's loosely based off of some of Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. And what he's trying to do is help families primarily earn an extra $1,000 a month through some online businesses. So, really just kind of excited to share that with the group of fathers. I really thought that, hey, look, every dad could figure, if we could all just figure out how to make a couple extra bucks, we'd be further along our way. I read a report once that just an extra $200 a month is enough to really make a change in your lifestyle. So imagine if you had $1,000 extra a month to put into the old piggy bank. We go through a lot here. Dave also runs supersimple.com. I want you to check that site out. He's got a Facebook group. He's got an 8-week course that helps you get through and figure out how to make an extra $1,000 a month. One of these things that we kind of talk about too is that it's not always easy to kind of figure out what it is that you know what you can do, and that's what his course is for, to try and help you figure out what it is that you already know that you can do. And it's very action-based. It's not theoretical. Helps you get out of your comfort zone and a lot more. We also just talk about fatherhood as well. So we start off talking about a lot of that. But we talk about fatherhood. And he flipped the script on me, man. He asked me a few questions, and I kind of enjoyed that, being able to share exactly what it is I am doing with Fatherhood for the Rest of Us. Man, we just talk about it. We talk a lot about fatherhood, just about how the fact that, listen, what we see, what a lot of us saw, I think, on TV growing up or movies, is these dads are bumbling idiots and fools, and that's just not the case. And Fatherhood for the Rest of Us, along with a lot of other men out there, are doing our best to dissuade that, make sure that that's not something that we see here. I want you to stay tuned and listen to this whole thing, because in the end, Dave gives a really awesome, really great story just about his son and a stop motion video. So stick around, or you may even skip all the way to the end of that, but don't, because you're going to miss quite a bit of awesome information in this podcast. Also, Dave speaks about a course. Dave and I speak about the course that I was working on, and I have released that. If you are interested in finding out more, head on over to fatherhoodbydesign.xyz. It's 5 essential elements of fatherhood, and check it out. It's really something that's designed to go over 5 weeks, only about 20 minutes a week, really, of listening or listening into a video series, and each series has some actionable items that you could implement in fatherhood, and I really think that you'll find that to be useful. And hey, listen, 5 weeks from by the time this comes out, you'll be able to be really kind of ahead of the game when it comes to the new year. So check that out, fatherhoodbydesign.xyz. And as always, check out the Facebook group. If you're not a member of it already, head on over to Fatherhood for the Rest of Us, where there's a bunch of like-minded men who are getting through fatherhood together. Thanks a lot, guys.
Decided who I wanted to help. It was really moms and dads. Like,
right on.
Dude, a lot of those are small business owners, but my passion is really helping families like me, because I've got 2 small kids. I want to be with them more. I want to be able to take them to Disneyland or Disney World. I want to be able to go fishing on the weekends and go to sports. And Dave. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna use that for your intro, since you're already kind of diving into it. But I'll tell you what, I'm gonna read the audience the bio, guys. I'm on here with thank you for being here with Fatherhood for the Rest of Us. I'm on here with DavidMooring,
He's a marketing strategist, entrepreneur, and public speaker with 20 years of experience in marketing, management, and customer service. He is the founder of Burlap Sky Inc., a digital marketing consultancy, and supersimple.com, a blog and membership site where he teaches moms and dads how to work less and earn more so they can focus on family and what matters most. David enjoys helping others succeed and has taught over 100 seminars and workshops on marketing and entrepreneurship at universities, colleges, Chamber of Commerce, and other professional organizations. He's also host of Quit Pinching Pennies, a faith-based podcast and community for moms and dads who are trying to build an online business, blog, or side hustle. David is a native of Eastern North Carolina, where he currently lives with his wife and 2 boys. Now, David, you and I, you host a podcast meetup for the Raleigh, North Carolina area.
That's right.
And one of the, not only you're just a cool dude, but you got, I overheard you saying, hey man, I want to help. You said 1,000 people. 1,000 people.
Yep. 1,000 moms and dads. Yep.
Moms and dads, that mostly geared to earn over $1,000 or more a month, which I thought, I was like, dude, if any one of me, I'm in, right? I'm in. But I also thought that it'd be awesome to expose you to my audience as well, to see, hey man, we're all a bunch of dads, and I've got a couple of female listeners, mothers as well out there, or just aspiring mothers. I don't know what you want to call them. Mothers to be. What you're offering is awesome, and I think the podcast is pretty cool. But before we jump on any further, just tell me something awesome that's happening in your life today, man. What are you grateful for today? What can we celebrate for you today?
Yeah, first of all, Brandon, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad we've gotten to connect. And thanks for introducing me to all your listeners and your fans. You know what? I'm grateful that I get to spend a lot of time with my boys. I've got a 7 and a 10-year-old. And I'm an assistant den leader for one of them, or they're both in scouts, but one of them I'm assistant den leader for their scout den. The other one I'm assistant baseball coach. He's in machine pitch baseball. We do baseball on the weekends. We do scouting during the week. We're going to camping in a couple of weeks, and I'm just grateful that I've got some flexibility in my job and my lifestyle, just to be able to spend the time with them while they're here and they want to spend time with me.
Sure enough. Oh yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I know there'll be that day as soon as they get their license and stuff that they're gone.
Man, yeah.
So I'm sooner. Yeah. So I'm super grateful that I've got a lifestyle where I can spend the time with my 2 of my favorite people.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And so your podcast, Quit Pinching Pennies, is it's loosely based off of Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, if I got that. And then you're going to be walking people through, how they can try and make some extra money themselves. Let's talk about it. What do we got? What do we got on the podcast?
Yeah, that's right. So I discovered Tim Ferriss probably like 2008, maybe a year or 2 after that book came out. And I kind of mulled it over in my head for a while, and it was great, but it's written from a bachelor standpoint, right? Somebody that wants to work less and go live on the beach. And, I think he traveled all over Europe or Asia. And to me, it was kind of like, that's great, but I was already a dad
right
when I found that. And I was like, well, I'm, making $3,000-$4,000 a month, which is a high life in Latin America or something, is great. Right. That's not going to work for me.
Right.
But it clicked that, well, if you can make an extra $1,000 a month or $3,000 a month online doing a business that's not, trading time for hours,
right.
Then you don't have to wait, until later to spend more time with your kids. Or we got friends that are missionaries that I'm trying to support, and I know people that are trying to adopt kids, or they want to be a foster parent. But all those things cost money, and so I thought, well, what if we took the 4-hour work week and applied it to people who are kind of driven by passion or faith or family?
Sure, purpose.
Purpose. Their goal isn't to go live in Tahiti, which is nice. That's
not yet.
That's your goal. But what about between now and I've already got kids. I'm not going to take off and go live in Tahiti.
Right.
But a passive income or somewhat passive income of a couple $1,000s a month would be awesome for me to be able to spend more time with my kids and other people too. So that's kind of where I came up with the idea.
Okay. So now, were you able to implement that yourself?
Yeah. Well, it kind of worked for me because in 2010, I started my own business.
Mm-hmm.
So being self-employed since then, I've been able to structure whether I take on, how many clients I take on and how busy I am. But as I mentioned to you just a few minutes ago, trying to get some of the stuff that I've been teaching small business owners into online courses is kind of where I'm headed. And so, yeah, I'm past $1,000 a month from my online course type stuff.
Oh, cool, man.
But I'm trying to get it. I would like to do less and less client work and more of the online courses and teaching, just again, because even though I might be able to charge a higher rate for consulting work, I'm still having to be there with the client all the time. And I would like to even spend less time in the business world.
You're looking for that 4-hour work week yourself.
Yeah, maybe even 15, 20.
Right. So let's talk about like what would some of the things that you would be let's walk me through some of the recommendations or some of the things that we might hear on your podcast to get me started. Why am I so excited to be listening to your podcast and find this freedom? Because I'm cutting coupons. I think I got it all right and life's all right.
Right.
But what's up? What do I do?
Yeah. So the general premise is that you mentioned cutting coupons, which is that was the mindset when I came up with the quit pinching pennies. I know lots of mom, and even we, you look for coupons, you look for deals, and you could almost get to the point where you're spending so much time trying to save money that at some point you could get a better rate of return if you spent 2 hours or 3 hours a week earning more money. But the problem that most people have is they don't know what they can do, right? Other than go work at a fast food restaurant or go babysit or something like that.
Sure.
But with being in the online world for 12 years, the possibilities are endless. I mean, you can have a little Etsy shop, you can sell t-shirts on Teespring, you can teach people something that whether you used to be an English teacher or English as a second language teacher, or I've got friends who work with special needs kids and they know all these little tricks of the trade to help people to get through the day, and you can create a little ebook that you can help other parents in that similar situation. So it's kind of just taking a look at like an inventory of what you have to offer,
right,
and finding out what the market would want that you have to offer, and then just finding a way to produce that as quickly without dumping a lot of money into expensive websites and building the product and things like that. So again, it's just helping people figure out what they have to offer, who's interested in that, and making that connection.
Right. So are you helping people like kind of clarify, get clear on what they have to offer, giving them the steps?
Yeah. So I've been doing a little bit through the blog, but I've actually got a course that helps people go from no idea to $1,000 a month. I've got about a dozen people in that right now that I'm taking them through kind of the first class to see how it goes, what their questions are, where they get hung up, so I can refine a little bit. But in addition to that, I've got a workbook that comes out on the 17th next week.
Okay.
Which is the first step, is just to figure out your idea. So like what could I do? And so I've got a workbook coming out that I'm trying to help people get over that first hurdle. Because most people, if you don't know what you have to offer, then you just kind of feel stuck. Right. So you don't take any action. So
sure. I mean, and that was something that you mentioned in your podcast. I mean, you this is not your first podcast, and
right.
So you had a podcast before this, and it took you how long to get the first podcast up and running from the date? So you decide to purchase, you decide you're podcasting, you buy the mics, you buy the gear, from end to end. How long did it take you to start your podcast at that time?
It took me about 18 months. From the time that I got the equipment to the time that the podcast hit iTunes. It took me 18 months.
And the time that it took you to create your second podcast, this one.
Yeah, 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah, so in about 4 hours spent across those 2 days.
And what was it that you felt like you learned doing your first podcast that you really think translates into how you came to do your second one?
Yeah, the biggest thing is that the first time I thought I had to get everything right. So I'm a perfectionist. So I wanted to get custom music, and it was an interview-based podcast, and I was a little bit scared of just putting myself out there. So, I kind of talk about this on one of my first episodes of the second podcast, but I think I was kind of unknowingly trying to hide myself behind music and behind the interview and the guest and things like that.
Okay.
And so I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted to kind of go big. And so it just took me a long time to come up with a product that I thought was good enough. And I realized that over that 18 months of not producing anything, I didn't learn much. I didn't get feedback, right? There was no, what I like to call a feedback loop.
Right.
So until you put something out there and take action, you don't get any feedback to know if it's any good or not. So you waste all your time self-critiquing when maybe if you had just put it out there, you whatever you put might have been good enough. So with the second podcast, I just said, you know what is the shortest amount of work that I can do to get it done?
Right.
Let me get feedback from people. If they like it, they don't like it, I can make changes. I can add music later.
Right.
So I kind of stripped it down, and I'm trying to err on the side of action instead of thinking.
I love it. Now, which process are you enjoying more out of the two?
Definitely the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just to ship a product, whether it's a podcast or an ebook or an email or whatever you're working on, even if it's a handcrafted, like when you finish the job, it just feels good to be done with it. If anybody's got a project that you've been working on in the garage for, 6 months because you need that one piece or that one thing and you just haven't taken, that just weighs on you over time. Just having those things in the back of your mind that aren't done.
Right.
So having something that you can just do, ship it out there, it's so much more rewarding. Even if it's, I'm not getting near the downloads with the second one right now that I got with the first one. And some of that's because I had interview guests that helped promote it and things like that.
Sure.
But I'm not doing it for the numbers. So
Right. Now, the course that you're running online, is there a cost associated with that?
There is. I've got an email series that's free.
Okay.
But the course that I'm running is a paid course.
Okay. How is the success rate going with that right now? How long has it been going? And I'm just out of curiosity, like what's the success rate with that? And
Yeah, right now it's an 8-week course, from start to finish, and we're wrapping up week 3 right now.
Okay, so you're in the beginning.
Yep.
What's the feedback been so far?
The feedback is that the material's been very good. The feedback is very positive, and part of that's because it's not a theoretical course. I've learned from taking other courses that, just like me, have people take action.
Right.
So I'm trying to every other day, there's an action item. You have to do something. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to talk to somebody. You have to use a new tool. It's really action driven as opposed to just hear some ideas.
Right. I'm trying to think. I remember I actually just read the Tim Ferriss book not too long ago, and it's like, man, one of the things is testing the market. I think you mentioned, and I haven't done the same thing right either. But this is one of the things you talk about in your podcast: being able to test the market to know whether or not your product is in demand. How would you tell somebody to do that? How would you recommend somebody test that?
Yeah, some of the easiest ways are if you're trying to come up with like an information product or even a physical product. One of the easiest things, and you can just Google this is, not rocket science, but just go to Amazon and just look up the topic, first of all, and just to see, how many books or how many products are related to that, and look at, how many reviews they have. So
Gotcha.
if you're coming up with a topic, your topic is productivity, and you type productivity into the books in Amazon, and you see that there's, 130 books on Amazon and the top 10 have over, 500 reviews. That's a really hot topic, right? I mean, there's a lot of books, there's a lot of activity. That's actually a good thing. If you type in your productivity and you go to Amazon and there's 5 books and the one with the most review has 23 reviews. Okay, well, if reviews account, let's just make up a number, 10% of the total sales,
right?
200 people bought that book.
Okay.
That's not a good market to be in. There's multiple ways to do it, but that's the easiest, is just to go kind of see, are people purchasing something related to what you want to do?
Right. So what I'm hearing and what I'm thinking is, just because there's a lot of product in a certain area and it has a lot of reviews doesn't mean that it's saturated. It means that means pour more gasoline on it.
Yeah. I mean, you'll need to at some point figure out what makes you a little bit different.
Right.
But the example that I use the most, I mean, I guess there's two examples as dads, there's cereal, right?
Right. Oh yeah.
I mean, you walk down the cereal aisle and there's no shortage of competition for cereal, but that doesn't keep people from coming up with new flavors or new brands or organic or whole or whatever it is.
Absolutely. You're right.
Right. Because there's a market that wants that. That's how they're setting themselves apart. The other example is just colleges and universities. And let's just take English teachers, right? I mean, there's thousands of English teachers at universities across the country, but people have their preference for which school they want to go to, where it's located,
right,
the type of environment, who the professors are, whether it's a small class, big class. So we all want to learn different. So it doesn't matter if there's 15 courses that teach what you have to offer. people might like you because they
Right.
relate to you. Maybe you talk in an accent, with North Carolina. Maybe they
Right.
relate to
Right.
that a little bit, and that's better. They don't want to hear somebody from, up north, that talk. Who knows? It could be. We all
Damn
have our
Yankees.
preferences.
I
Yeah.
got you. No, I got you. I got you. Hey, listen, no, man. I've got a friend of mine who his podcast. He's from the UK, and it doesn't matter what he says. He sounds like
Right.
he's
Right.
smart,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That's how I hear him. And
Yeah.
and same. I think I've actually gotten people saying, "Hey, you've got a great accent." I'm like, "What are you even talking about?"
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, you sound like you're from the South, but that's okay.
Yeah. And I'm proud of it.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. So you know what, man, I love it, and I really did want to share. The biggest thing I wanted to do today was just share what you're doing. I think it's awesome. You are doing it faith-based. I just want to hit on one thing that I thought was kind of interesting. Let's talk about like your mission trip. You did like 3 months as a missionary?
I did. Yeah. In Mexico City.
How was that, man?
Life-changing, really. It
Yeah.
was the summer after my sophomore year of college, and I just had an opportunity to do some missions training, and then go and we were actually on a team with people from all over the U.S. and Canada, and we were partnered up and paired, and we lived with families in the local community. So they would basically kick the kids out of the bedroom and give us the bunk beds, and then we'd help them in their local churches, and we'd help them feed the homeless and paint, and kind of like the Habitat for Humanity style stuff,
Right.
plus feeding people and
Okay.
whatever they needed. We just kind of brought in our whatever we could offer, and just spent some time with them, just helping get them. Most of them were driven to help their communities, and so we just came in and trying to partner with them.
Right on.
It was
And
awesome.
I just think it's great because I get the feeling, I know you and we haven't really talked overly much, but, by listening to your podcast, by, kind of seeing some of the stuff that you've done, I wanted to add that element just to show that this, to my listeners, to, fatherhood for the rest of us, that, I think your heart's in the right place. It feels like your heart's in the right place. And I think that's really awesome what you're doing.
Yeah, I
So
appreciate that.
I want to say thank you, just for that. And I just let's roll it into fatherhood, brother. Let's talk a little fatherhood real quick here. I mean, let's just
good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
man, hey, look, man, it is a lot of times it's all the same package, right? All the same package, and I love it. What would you say fatherhood does mean to you?
To me, it my goal is to teach my boys to be responsible, to be self-sustaining, to be, when they leave my house, I want them to be equipped as the best they can to kind of go be their own man. And so I guess there's a lot of, to me, it's teaching, education, legacy, just kind of equipping the next generation.
I got you. A quick question, and I don't know this offhand. Are they homeschooled?
They're not.
Okay, because I know you'd hit on it a little bit in your podcast. Is about helping others that are homeschooled, and you've got
Yes, I've got numerous friends that are homeschooling.
Okay.
My wife is a pediatric physical therapist, so
Okay.
she works with kids who either have disabilities or injuries and things like that, and that's what she really feels called and passionate about. And neither
Right.
one of us, had that real passion for homeschooling. So we both feel like we're out there, and kudos to people that do it.
It's a challenge. That's a challenge.
Life is, I can't imagine. It would be very difficult.
Not. Listen, I love my children, but I don't know that I could do it.
Yeah.
And again, like you're saying, for the people that can do it, it's great. I think that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about how, like, your upbringing, like, how were you raised? What was your father like? What was the relationship that you had with him, or did not, that type of thing?
Yeah, I actually had a good relationship with my dad. My dad was always around. I think probably my passion or my desire to spend so much time with my kids is because my dad was around quite a bit. I mean, he had a 9-to-5 job. So my mom was there, sick days and things like that, but my dad was present. So, he helped us get into sports. We traveled some growing up. We were just kind of a lower middle class family. We'd get out in the yard together, cut the grass, edge, just take care of the house, and just really down to earth. It was good. I have no complaints. There's really nothing, and I'm fortunate in that way, but there was just really nothing to complain about. So
That's fantastic. No, that's great.
I still have a good relationship with my dad.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is something that, you talk about him being present. What is something else maybe that he did that you're carrying forward?
To me, it's that it's doing work together.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't just say, go cut the grass. He was out there too. We were out there together, the guys taking care of the yard, doing gardening, painting the house, whatever it is, kind of
Right.
down in the dirt together. And, my boys are a little bit young. They're not quite ready to cut grass, but when you got the fall coming up and I try to get them out there raking leaves and,
Sure. Yeah.
you stop for a few minutes and you jump in the pile with them and
Right
like,
on.
it just that we're going to do it together. So I think one of the things that I would encourage everybody to do this. And I got some from my dad and some from a couple of books I've read, but to even when your kids are little, like 2 years old or 3 years old, and they see you working on the car or changing the oil in the lawnmower or something like that, and they want to help, and there's nothing that they can do, let them feel like they're helping anyway. Like
Right.
give them a fake tool
Sure.
or something and let them just bang on the wheel so that they feel like they're working with dad and they're doing something positive and they feel encouraged and they feel valued and things like that. And then as they get older, teach them how to change the oil and teach them how to rake leaves and cut the grass and stuff like that. Just kind of be out there with them. To me, that's I've seen that, and almost empowering them even from a young age to make them feel like they're helping daddy. That's important.
That's awesome. That's a great tip. That's a great tip. You mentioned, since you're there, why don't we, you mentioned a couple books. What is like one that maybe, and being a Tim Ferriss fan, I always ask, what's one that you've gifted the most?
Yeah. Gosh. The first one that comes to mind is obviously the Bible. I mean, I think whether you're spiritual or whether you're a Christian or not, like there's just a lot of good proverbs in there about how you treat people, how to show respect, how to raise your kids and things like that. As far as other books, you mean specifically about fatherhood or just?
Yeah, I mean, you did mention about reading some on parenting. So do you have a recommendation or something that you really, one of the books about parenting that stuck out to you the most, or two?
Gosh, I wish I knew the names of them. But a lot of times I just blaze through books and I don't, there's these points that stick out, but honestly, I don't have a particular book that I would say this is the book.
No, fair enough. I hear you, man. So you're a big audiobook fan then too, right? Is that
I
what
do.
it is?
I listened to audiobooks for a while and then I got into podcasting and I don't have a lot of commute now that I work from home. So podcasts seem to work pretty well.
Right on. No worries. What is like a fatherhood tip outside of like having the kids kind of hang out with you and whatnot? Like, what is one thing that you wish somebody told you about fatherhood before you got started?
That you're going to get it wrong, that you're going to mess up, and that it's hard, but it's okay. I think you see mistakes that your parent and all parents make mistakes, but you grow up and you wish your dad didn't do that or your mom didn't do these things. And so you set in your mind that when you have kids, you're not going to be that way. And maybe you're not that way. Maybe it's another issue, but ultimately you mess up.
You've got your own personal set of issues.
Yeah. And I think it's easy, especially when they're young and there's nobody else around and you can't communicate like, I'm sorry. You just mess up and then you feel guilty about it. And it'd be nice to know that, look, you're going to mess up.
Right.
The perfect way to do it. We're going to say the wrong thing. We're going to overreact to the wrong situation.
Yeah.
It's
true.
okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's not your fault.
You're not going to damage them for life because you yell at them the one time they ruined the piece of furniture or whatever.
Yeah, man, no, that's a great. You know what? That's a great tip because I think a lot of times that we as dads, I think we're overly kind of hard on ourselves, and we've got like this level of guilt. We're like I didn't mean it like that, and
right.
You picture them kind of like dejected and crying and sad, but really they're down there like chewing on their thumb or eating a shoe or something like that. It's already out of their mind.
I mean, yeah, but let's be honest. Sometimes we think, did we ruin them? When they're maybe you got two kids and one of them's crying and one of them's teething and you're yelling at dinner and you can't get anything right and then everybody goes to bed and you have those thoughts like, am I ruining them? Like, are they going to grow up like with some sort of mental issue because
dressed all wearing black later in life and daddy issues? I hear you, and I agree. Listen, it's not easy. So yeah, I think it's good to. For one of the big things about this podcast is like guys having these conversations, right? Just saying, hey, it's just because a lot of guys try and do it on their own. A lot of guys are, and one of the reasons why I call it fatherhood for the rest of us too is because there's a lot of people that don't go to church or don't have that available to them. It's available to them, but that's not a resource that they use, right?
Sure.
And they don't feel like they can reach out and talk to other guys and just hear that everybody's making mistakes. Everybody's messing it up. Everybody's you're just fine. Just keep on rolling with what you're doing, and you're gonna be all right. Awesome. I think that in the end, ultimately, we always want our children to thank us, right, for our servitude towards them and everything awesome that we've done for them, right? So if your children wrote you a letter thanking you for everything that you've done 10 years from now, what would you want them to say on that letter? Like, what would they be thanking you for?
I think that I hope that they will appreciate how much kind of sacrifice I've made to spend time with them. You know, they've not been bought everything that they want, and we've not been able to go on every single trip, and it's not some luxurious lifestyle, but I hope that they realize that, my wife doesn't work full time. I don't work, crazy hours. And I hope that they realize that that's not normal, that most families are working, both parents are working 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, juggling all those types of things. And I just hope they appreciate that, what, we made a conscious choice to drive used cars and whatnot and live a life where we can spend more time with you. And that we chose time together, quality time, over some of the other things in life. I hope that comes across at some point.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned that that's a conscious choice. I mean, could you be working somewhere else making more money, you feel?
Oh yeah. And my wife could be working 40 hours a week, and we could probably double, what we're doing. But the lifestyle would be totally different. Right. We'd have to have probably a nanny in the house and getting them ready and all that kind of stuff. And we just didn't want to go that route.
That's cool. Cause I mean, look, man, a lot of people think that, it's just about the dollar, and, no matter how much you work and you make, that it's worth it, regardless of whether or not you get to spend all that time with your children. I think that I feel like we're seeing a shift in that mentality.
I see some. Yeah.
So man, that's awesome. I know we kind of blazed through most of this, but is there anything like that you think we might want to cover? You want to cover before we hop off? Fatherhood related or the podcast? Anything? I
don't know if you talk about this on your show a whole lot, but give me a little bit more background about what your goal is with the podcast. So, and then maybe I'll have something I can add to it.
Oh man. So listen, this podcast, you talk about you're a perfectionist and it took you a while to take action. I'm a little bit of the opposite. I'm a little bit of like, I just literally, I was like, I got into podcasting last year, listening to podcasts last year. And it was through I started listening to podcasts where I kind of developed like this, and I'd never been an intentional or purposeful man, for lack of better terminology. Yeah. And I was like, man, I started listening to these podcasts, and I was like, I've got a message too. I don't know what it is. And it's like you say, part of the workbook is, or a lot of these exercises is, you kind of go through down and what is it that you are passionate about? What is it that you could be sustained by? What is it that gives you purpose? That type of thing. And mine is fatherhood. And so I just picked up the mic and I recorded 5 or 6 episodes of my manual ones. I hadn't even, at the time, I had not even decided to interview people. And then next thing you know, I have an interview once a week. And I feel like these interviews, they help me because, like I said, I don't have a tight network of men, or a tight network. I didn't have a father, so I don't have this like fatherhood background, or I'm just trying to talk to other dads, man. And it makes me feel good knowing that there's other dads out there that are, it's not a struggle, but we're just doing it. But we have a lot of the same things going on. So sharing these conversations with other men has been impactful for me. And then sharing them with other people in the audience, I know that it's impactful for the audience members that are listening. After that, it's create the group. I've got the Fatherhood for the Rest of Us Facebook group, private group, again, to be the rising tide, right? To have a bunch of men in there who are able to discuss fatherhood in an open, level playing forum, and not be ashamed, not ever feel like they're diminished, not ever feel like anything that they're feeling is less than, because we all have the same struggles. We all have similar struggles. We've all got to, and listen, we all got a different background, but if you're in that group, chances are you've got a child on your knee or somewhere nearby or have. So we've all got something in common too. We've all got a common ground. And moving onward, you know, it's really about, I've just recently started a new group to help other men, you know, getting together, like not even a mastermind. I don't have the book with me right now, but I don't know if you've ever seen the, there's a book, Sukumar Rao. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Are You Ready to Succeed is the book. I've got like 4 other guys going through this group with me. I set up a forum, and I'm literally going to be part of a transformation group before the new year. So I'm out there to help other men, man. Awesome. And you know, trying to use, like you're teaching other people, I'm trying to use the best of my abilities to facilitate, to activate, to encourage anything I got to offer to these men to help them succeed, to be part of you know, successful, thriving human race, brother. That's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so needed. I just, you know, you've seen the things where if you just kind of look at the famous characters or the key characters on TV shows and in movies, like dads are always made out to be some bumbling idiot. And it's time to, you know, we've got to get over that.
Yeah, that is actually
nobody's perfect, but come on, I mean,
dude, that's actually
we can get it done. You know,
it's funny that you say that because you know, I'm setting up. I have a course getting ready to launch too. Actually, just a 5 video course just on awesome. You know, fatherhood. But the landing video that I'll be working on is like, I'll probably take like Boomhauser from King of the Hill and like Al Bundy, you know, the guys that we kind of grew up seeing. But I'm like, this isn't who dads are. No, this is, and I'm encouraged to say, hey, dude, you don't have to live to that. You don't have to live to that if you don't want to, type of thing. So I'm trying to, I'm doing that and being a part of that. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, kudos, because we need it. I mean,
thank you.
Like you said, it doesn't, like, we're not perfect, right? We all have struggles. It doesn't matter how you were raised, whether your father was there or not. Like, because we're human, we have our own sets of issues, but we're not some bumbling idiots, right? I mean,
nah, man.
All the men I know are trying to get it done. They're trying to work hard. They're trying to take care of their family. They're trying to be good parents. They're involved in the community.
Right.
They're coaching sports. They're doing scouts. I mean, it's,
man.
You know.
Well, I think the other part of this, the whole exercise too, is that I want to make sure that fathers put on their own oxygen mask too. Right. So making sure that they're taking time to be aware of themselves, give themselves some time, and maybe take it a little easy on themselves, because they deserve some of that time themselves is another big thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Anything I can help you with as far as like getting the word out about your new course or your podcast, or
I mean, hey, look, if you want to, if when this goes out, and you know, not to end it here at all, but like, you know, when this goes out, feel share, you know, share it with your crew. I'm in your Pinching Pennies Facebook group. Share the Facebook group. I'm all about like, hey, look, we're collaborating. I'm a big fan of this is an abundant life. So whoever, you know, whoever needs to help, whoever I think can help that person the most, it's like, it doesn't have to be me. You know, it doesn't look, I mean, if somebody, I've done it, which is great, like establishing this network of like-minded men who do want to show up powerfully for other men and, or just other people, be like, hey, look, I'm not your guy, but maybe go check this person out. Yeah. And I've done that, right? I'm like, hey, listen, I'd love to, but like, it won't work.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. Yeah. So man, I will gladly promote you, what you're doing, because I believe in what you're doing. I believe in who you are. And all I can do is ask the same.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really great what you're doing. And I love the fact that you take action. Just do it. You know, I mean,
it's not always pretty, brother. It's not always pretty.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
and that's okay. And you know what, that to me, that's okay too. I'm not as concerned with appearances. Somewhat, you know, but one of the things that I was kind of taught growing up and by my mom was like form follows function. So, you know, just get out there, do it, get involved with it. And, you know, if you need to spruce it up. along the way.
Yeah.
A lot of like what you're doing right now, like you said, you're like, hey, take the feedback, maybe the 80-20, right? The 80-20, give the bare bones, and then like build features in as you kind of go along. But
yeah. So let me throw out one more thing because I think it's related to dads, it's related to parenting, and it's related to shipping stuff. But my 10-year-old, he loves watching stop motion Lego movies and things like that. You know, where you move the little Lego, you take a picture, you know, so it's like 1,000 pictures, and you run it all fast, and it looks like a movie, right?
that's awesome.
So, and there's a free Lego app. Everybody should check it out if you have iPhone or iPad or something. But it's a Lego movie builder or something like that, and it allows you to make these stop motion videos. So he goes through the process of making this little Western movie using Legos, right? And of course he's taking like 150 pictures, and it lasts all of like 15 seconds. And he spends all this time building sets and making props and getting everything worked out. And he does it, and he comes and shows it to me, and he says, it's horrible. It's awful. It's bad. Like, I quit.
Right. Yeah.
Like I spent 4 hours on a Saturday making this movie. The movie lasts like 30 seconds, and he says it's horrible, like it's jerky and all that stuff. So I tell him, I was like, you know how to get good at it. You got to do it again, right?
Right.
Because we all produce junk the first time.
Yeah.
Right. But if you don't produce it, then you wouldn't know if you didn't record it and finish it. You wouldn't be able to look back and say, I don't like it. So I said, watch it and figure out what can you do next time to make it a little bit better.
Right.
And then go do it, because the YouTubers that you watch that have the 5-minute awesome, amazing superhero stop motion Lego thing, they made a bad one the first time too.
That's powerful.
And that's
man.
okay. Like, go back and make it better the next time. And when you do it 100 times, then you'll have one that everybody loves and you'll feel proud of. But you can't get to the 100th one without doing the 99 first. So, and so I guess I can wrap it up with that. But
that's a great share.
That's
absolutely.
With you and your podcast, like, if you're not happy with it, the first 3 to the first 4, it doesn't matter. Like, you just keep doing it and you keep getting better. And then when you're at an episode 100, 1,000, or 2, whatever it is, I guarantee it's going to be rocking,
Yeah. Hey, look, I literally think it's just, just get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Just get out there and do it.
Totally agree. And learn along the way.
Absolutely. And enjoy it. For me, it's just enjoy it. You got to be enjoying it. And if you're not, I think that's I think it should be work, right? But it should also be, there should be some enjoyment out of it, and it shouldn't kind of overshadow. I mean, recently, like, I've actually just cut back on, I was doing them daily, just kind of putting something out there. And I was like, you know what are the reasons I'm doing this, and does it make sense? And I just cut back. I'm like, hey, nobody's yelling at me too. So, I mean, I'm a little sad about it, but, and overjoyed. At any rate, it's okay. It's okay. But the thing is to get out there and do it and enjoy it. Where can, I'm going to link your group to my group, because I think that, what you're doing there is awesome. If you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and send you an invite into my group.
Yeah. I'd love to join it.
And so obviously you can be reached on Facebook, but where should people be looking for you? What's the link to your course, et cetera?
Yeah, if you just head over to supersimple.com and drop the E at the end, so supersimpl.com, you can find all my links to all my social media there. You can find information about my free email course. I've got some blog posts up there. That's just a really great place. Just check me out. And if you're on Twitter somewhere, you can usually find me by going to DavidMooring, THE, and then mooring, MOORING, like a boat mooring. So would love to connect with anybody. Message me on Twitter, shoot me an email if I can help somebody. If somebody's already got a blog or a side income and they're trying to figure out how to make more money, I'll give free advice, free tips, whatever. My goal, like you said, my goal is just to help people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you're looking to make $1,000 extra a month, reach out to them, man. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, I'd love to help however I can. Yep.
Awesome.